What's up, Ringside Nation? The Ring Boys are back. Full strength on the night with my beautiful co-hosts, Doc and Artie. Boys, how are we feeling?
Doing good. It was an exciting weekend of sports. And I mean, definitely some exciting fights on the card, but I feel like there were some other things going on this weekend that overshadowed a little bit. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, boxing. There was quite a bit going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you, Artie. Usually Dana White takes the cake for us on the weekends, but this weekend just didn't have the hype behind it. But overall, still a fantastic weekend. Nice to be back talking UFC, talking fights.
And overall, great card for me, winning this one with 10 out of 12. What a segue. I love it when I do that. Myself, 10 for 12, Doc, 8 for 12, Artie, 6 for 12. Yearly fight night accuracies, Artie, 76 for 146. Myself, 85 for 146. Doc, 82 for 146. And yearly overall, Artie, 116 for 209. Myself, 126 for 209. Doc, 117 for 209. For all you stats nerds that are following the pod, which I know there's a lot of you out there. But anywho, solid Apex card here. A lot of things happening with Lerone Murphy dominating Edson Barbosa, Chaos Williams getting that sick KO, Tembo Garimbo doing it for his coach, which we'll definitely touch upon here soon. I know Doc's boy and Doc's lock of the card, Adrian Yanez, brutally almost murdering a man, no thanks to Chris Taglioni. And then Angela Hill, already calling it, pulling it out of the bag, getting a performance bonus, and yeah, she's back. But overall, if you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, wherever, on your screen are the picks. And yeah, we'll get right into the fights. Lerone Murphy just absolutely dominating Edson Barbosa. In my opinion, when you get shot and run over by a car and you're in the UFC, you're going to be a tough guy to beat, whether you're undefeated or not. And yeah, he just asserted dominance. Barbosa had a few clean strikes. He got in there. There was one point where it felt like he was swinging it around Sadiq Yusuf style, and I was getting a little nervous. But now Lerone Murphy did his thing and made UK proud. And it was a good main event. It was a good main event overall. But yeah, I don't know what's next for each one of these fighters. Potentially Edson Barbosa retiring home. Probably not. He's probably going to go for a bit. I don't know what you boys think. You think he's going for a while?
The way he's built, I don't know when this guy retires. Like, it doesn't even look natural anymore because he's just so obscenely ripped for featherweight. It's ridiculous. So, and like I keep saying, I feel like every time we talk about Brazilian fighters who are reaching that age that usually nobody else is doing well at, like 35 plus is just something, right? And obviously this wasn't a very good performance for him, but still, he's out there, he's putting on main events. So yeah, who knows?
Yeah, what's crazy about Edson Barbosa is he's still just as powerful as he was back when he was dominating the division. He might not be as quick, but his strikes still have power, and he has that one kick knockout power that people are always concerned about. So yeah, I think he's still got a little bit of gas in him. Obviously not like a title contender at this point. I know that he's trying to fight for the BMF title. I don't know if he's in the right age to do that at this point. But on the other hand, Murphy, great performance, dominating performance. Just unfortunate that he keeps on getting decision wins instead of knockouts. And if you want to get title fights, you want to be a little bit more exciting in terms of the finishes. Edson Barbosa, incredibly tough to finish though, so I'll give him a pass on here, but glad we got this one right.
220 significant strikes landed for Lerone Murphy. If you're getting decisions by that big of a margin, then so be it. But I agree, Doc. I want to see you finish your dinner before you get fight of the night bonuses, and it was fight of the night for me. But yeah, my boy putting Manchester on the map. And my boy Chaos Williams showing that he was more than capable of knocking people out. He was talking smack before the fight. He's talking smack after. 90 seconds into the co-main, he gets a beautiful right hook, puts out Harris. Perfect knockout, perfect statement. And yeah, I really like when fighters come on and say, yeah, I'm going to knock this dude out. And they are just nonchalant about it and they end up doing it. And it's like, that's really good for your draft stock going ahead. So Chaos Williams, will definitely have to keep an eye on him. No, boys?
Yeah, and before we go any further, I just want to say I flipped a coin for every one of my picks. So I would have picked
Okay.
Chaos Williams
I
and
didn't know.
Lerone Murphy. That's why I was 50% on the card, as you guys saw at the beginning. But I just wanted to clarify before we go any further. I
I
would
was
have picked Chaos Williams, but yeah, yeah, that counter right hook was absolutely nasty, and it was pretty early into the fight, so there was not really too much else to add to that.
I
I
also
was
don't have much to add. Sorry, just let me say this little piece. Chaos Williams, he doesn't land too many shots, but when he does land, they can always lead to a knockout. So this time it worked out for him. I don't know how it's going to work out next time, but that's what makes him an exciting fighter to watch. Clearly not even close to being a title contender. Will never be a title contender, in my opinion, but he's still fun to tune into.
Yeah, 100%. Another guy I definitely am happy to tune into is Themba Gorimbo. The unfortunate news of his coach's mother passing before his fight. He was, obviously hysterical in his presser. Incredibly sad, incredibly disheartened. Ends up getting the win. Goes on the mic and says, death is going to visit you one day, and just has a really good speech on. He took away the last moments of his coach spending his time with his mom, and he'll never be able to pay that back. So I'm sure he's going to dedicate the rest of his UFC career to that. And no shock that we're all picking Themba before this, even without that news. I'm sure we had our picks in before. Our thoughts and prayers are with his coach and his, unfortunate news. And just wanted to say personally, life is short. Tell your loved ones, your close ones that you love them, call them right now. And but Themba Gorimbo getting the job done. And I know we don't do the bell for pay-per-view events only, but I think we got to give Themba a bell. And this is a ringer from the ring, boys, for sure. And we're proud. Artie?
Yeah, I mean, the clip's out there. If you've probably seen it on Twitter or YouTube, whatever, watch it. It's pretty inspiring. And besides that, just absolutely dominated his opponent. So yeah, like you said, I think a lot of it has to do with really dedicating that fight to his coach, and yeah, it is pretty sad.
Doc?
Even before this news, Themba Gorimbo's entire UFC career has been filled with a lot of heartbreaking moments. So he has a lot to fight for, and he's so grateful for the opportunities that he has, and that's what pushes him to get better. And that's why he always has that little bit extra for his fights that lets him win. This fight was super technical, two great grapplers going at it, and Themba Gorimbo just always had an answer to what Ramos was doing. So great performance, really heartbreaking the stuff leading up to it. But Themba Gorimbo showed that he's just like an excellent fighter. Outside of people picking him just for the story, he's really good grappler. Had really good reversals, specifically in this fight. So had an answer for everything. I'm excited to see him back out there again. And we got to see a lot more of his talent during this fight than we have in his other fights.
Completely agree with you, boys. And we'll definitely be, I think this is a first ballot Hall of Fame entry for sure for Themba Gorimbo to be in the Ring Boys Hall of Fame. I don't care. I'm stamping it. I'm stamping it and sealing his approval. I don't care what anyone says. Someone who's closer to getting there is Adrian Yanez, snapping his 2-fight skid and making me almost snap my TV remote at Chris Taglioni's unprofessionalism and just letting him wail away. And you just hate to see it. But yeah, Yanez, got the job done. I know, Doc, you were really hyped going into the weekend seeing that Yanez was on the card. So I'll skip over to you and let you just give your thoughts on why you like Yanez and where you think he's going from here.
Yeah, he's just a super talented guy, young guy, great striking, exciting. He goes for the knockout. He has everything going for him if he wants to be a star. He faced a couple of tough opponents coming into this fight. Sometimes that makes your confidence go down, but what he did during this fight was incredible. And each time, Chris Taglioni is the third man in the ring. at this point, I just expect something crazy to go down. We've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't know what's keeping him uh, allowed by the sanctioning bodies. I don't know how he's allowed to continue reffing, because this is getting absolutely ridiculous. The fighter's safety is clearly in danger when he is the ref, and we can't keep doing this. They're switching out other refs. They're bringing in new refs into the UFC, and Chris Tagnoni is still there. It doesn't make sense. He should no longer be reffing, and I don't know what it's going to take. Is it going to take someone dying in the ring for him to stop? Because I think that we're getting pretty close to that level with how reckless he is in these fights.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous, and it, like you said, it just happens over and over again.
Every single time.
Every
Yeah,
time.
it's pretty ridiculous. Like, who's the no nonsense guy that they always used to have, and then he made one bad call on a submission, and we never saw him again. Keith Peterson.
No nonsense, Keith Peterson.
Exactly. Like, he made one bad call, we didn't see him again. I don't remember the last time I was seeing him on a card. So how do we keep getting away with this, Chris Tagnoni? Like, do you blackmail on Dana? Like, what's going on? There has to be something. But nonetheless, big win for like Adrian Yanez. Like you said, he was on a 2-fight skid. He lost to two guys who are very, very good in the division. Like, both were staples. Obviously Rob Font, somebody who's super tough, and Jonathan Martinez, also somebody who's really good. But this is a great comeback victory. And I'm sure we'll see more of him, and I'm sure we'll see him getting up in the ranks.
I mean, I have a retirement plan for him. Give him a pension, turn him to a power slap referee. He'll forever be known for that, and just let his legacy die and drown out. Please. Please. Angela Hill. Angela Hill getting the job done. Artie, you got it right. I'll give you your Woody Page moment. I know you flipped a coin and you said just now, but I wasn't going to call you out before. I didn't know if we wanted to keep that behind the scenes, but overall, I'm still letting you talk about that one for
this card was worth my coin flips, so that's what I got right. We got another Gilly Goose, Dustin Poirier term here. Angela Hill getting the win, so that's exciting.
Don't be silly, shoot the Gilly, Doc.
My favorite submission to see, the mounted guillotine executed to perfection. I also found out she has the most wins in the strawweight division, which is crazy. She also might have the most losses in the strawweight division, but nobody mentions that. That being said, excellent performance by her. You never know what to expect from Angela Hill, but what you do know is that she has the experience, and if she's on, she's dangerous against anybody. So I picked wrong in this fight, but Angela Hill completely outclassed Pinheiro.
I was gonna say, I'm just shocked it didn't go to decision. Like, like I think her last, probably looking to the side of the screen right now, almost 10 fights were all decisions, whether they were in her favor or not. But for 39-year-old to still be doing it and still be getting a guillotine submission, tip the cap to you. I'll respect what must be respected. But yeah, overall, decent main event or main card at the Apex. Want some more fans to be there. I know, Artie, you're very adamant on your take that we need the Apex for fight nights like this. And this is a good prime example. But yeah, in the great words of Artie, it was a fight. It was a fight night. It's so aptly put. That's going to be our breakdown. I know we have a ton of fight news and things going on in the MMA world. We're going to opt out not to talk about them this week, just so you boys and girls can tune in next week. For just overall what we're going to say and is moving in the fights, what's going on in the MMA community. So look out for that episode. But before we hop off here, boys want to talk the other mitts and talk about that Usyk Fury fight. It was pretty controversial one per se. I don't know who wants to go first and give their input, but I'll open it to the floor.
I'll start. I don't know. Why do you think it was controversial? I understand the stuff said afterwards, but you're also giving an absolutely insane man the microphone after a fight where he got clobbered. But But outside of
There
that,
was lots of controversy. Are you kidding me?
I mean, I'll let you go ahead after
Let him finish. No, already go ahead.
I honestly was surprised it was a split decision. I have no idea how. But yeah, it was definitely a fight. I mean, Usyk had him beat, I feel like, almost every single round. I think Fury might have had the fourth round or something like that, where he actually had some good counters, but otherwise should have been what 11-1 or something like that. So yeah.
Okay, so I think you're beating around the bush. I think the most controversial thing here is that in the ninth round, Tyson Fury got knocked out, and the ref allowed him to stand back up. That's the most controversial thing. This shouldn't have been a split decision. You're right. This shouldn't have gone to the judges' scorecards. Tyson Fury was not. There was not supposed to be a count. There wasn't supposed to be a 20-second count, which he keeps on getting each time that he gets knocked down. Happened in the Deontay Wilder fight. Anthony Joshua fight, he got way too much time, and I don't know why the boxing world wants Tyson Fury to stay undefeated this bad, but I'm shocked that he was able to recover in those 20 seconds that he got. But regardless, that was a knockout, an absolute knockout, and Tyson Fury was not expecting somebody that weighed 30 pounds less than him to have this type of boxing accuracy that led to the power that ended in him getting knocked out. I don't know how well he prepared for this fight. Definitely better than he did for the Francis Ngannou fight. But that's the controversy for me. Split decision, that it shouldn't have been a split decision in my opinion. I think I would have scored it 115, 112, not even 114, 113. But it shows the corruption in boxing, which is why I prefer watching MMA, although there's a little bit getting sprinkled in to the MMA judging world. But it's crazy that this was not a knockout, in my opinion. But also an amazing fight. Lots of, in the beginning, Usyk got those first 2 rounds for sure. Fury came storming back in the middle. He was landing really, really good body shots. And I think that was his game plan after watching the Daniel Dubois fight against Usyk, where that was controversial whether or not that was an actual low blow or above the belt line. But that's the way to beat Usyk, it seems like. Even though he did get rocked to the head a few times throughout the fight, that left punch is nasty from Usyk. Even though he's the way shorter guy, way lighter guy, he just has that Ukrainian footwork that Lomachenko has. They had the same coach growing up, Papachenko, and you can see it in the fights. So excellent job by Usyk. Can't wait for the rematch. It'll be fun to watch. I hope Usyk can put on a little bit of weight, get a little bit more muscle in him, so that when he fights Tyson Fury next, it's not going to be this big of a weight difference. But next time, it's got to be an extra one in the KO department for Usyk.
Doc was so ready to talk about this. I can tell you now. My stance is, I forget, there was a quote or something, and it was like, anyone who has sat across from the greatest Grand Chess Master, Garry Kasparov, just gets exhausted mentally. And I bring that up for the reason of, like, Fury just got outclassed in my eyes. And I agree that 9th round, like, probably should have stopped. Like, the dude touched every side of the ring, all the ropes, in the span of 20 seconds. Like, this is like the Chris Dagnoni of the boxing world. Like, come on. But no, in all seriousness, like, the footwork is one thing. The footwork from both fighters, in my eyes, like, I know, like, Lomachenko and, you know, the Ukrainian style, they snap their toes, they keep their heels click, and they keep it very central, so they have really good balance. But for Tyson Fury to dip and move at that body weight and that size, that's, like, very impressive to me. And to do it for that long, even after getting rocked and surviving and then letting him back in. Like, I know Fury's 35, Usyk is what, 37? So putting on a weight, Doc, like at 37, that's going to be tough. Like, we'll see where he goes from here. I definitely think there should be a rematch. But like when Usyk was pressing the gas and he was, throwing those lefts to the side of the head, it's like, I know everyone always says like the prime Mike Tyson, how many punches would you take for the fight? Or 50K a punch for Mike Tyson, how many are you taking to that? The answer should always be 0. And how many left hooks from Usyk are you taking to the face? It's always going to be 0. And yeah, I mean, it takes a lot for me to watch. I think the last boxing match I watched obviously was AJ and Ngannou, and we all know how that ended up. But yeah, the whole world was watching this fight. Cristiano Ronaldo ringside making fun of Arsenal. Shout out my guy. But yeah, it was just a constant war and like the mental state of Fury to just hang in. Like I tipped the cap. Like I could never do that. Like it's just wild. Like I understand we're an MMA podcast. We're talking about boxing. We're switching gears a bit. But man, when the whole world watches, you gotta dive in. So
Even my fiance do, and she knows usually nothing about sports. So
exactly,
yeah.
It's great to see. Just let me say this one thing. It's great to see that heavyweight boxing finally has some really exciting fighters in it. For a really long time, there was nothing going on in heavyweight boxing. I don't include Ngannou in this talk, but there's Fury. Wilder was exciting. Usyk is exciting. There's some young guys coming up that are exciting. Joshua all of a sudden is getting exciting again. Dubois is getting like this hasn't happened in 10, 15 years or so. And everybody loves a good heavyweight fight.
And
you know what's funny? I think the 10, 15 years ago was funny enough. I think they were Ukrainian heavyweights, right?
It was Klitschko's
Klitschko.
Exactly, and that was not fun to watch. You're right.
Yeah.
The passing of the torch. I had something I wanted to segue into, and it was something I was talking to my buddy before the pod. And like, there's a lot of money in boxing. Like, I think Fury net like 80 million or something crazy from the Ring of Fire, like in euros, and that's a lot of money. And I wanted to bring this point. Like, this obviously was in the Saudi area, but I'm glad the Saudi deal with the UFC has come into play, and then we have to do 3 events a year, because expanding to that market and getting just the UFC bigger is not only good for the UFC and for the fighters to potentially get paid more and more, exposure, but it's also just good for the sport of MMA. I really think that, obviously, with Ramadan and things make it very difficult and variables, but do you guys think that just the impact of, the Saudi interest in the sport is going to grow it to a degree? And when we go international and go to all these events, you think fighter pay could potentially increase? I think that's a very cool conversation. I wanted to bring it forth before we sign off.
Yeah, I think surprisingly, actually, if you listen to fighters, I feel like we've gotten these sprinkles here and there of like them actually showing that they are pretty well paid, surprisingly. And it's usually happens to be guys, obviously, who are very well known in the UFC and have been, ranked in the top 10, top 5 for a very long time. So you should expect for guys who are that good to be paid very well, and it's no surprise. But I think we could go back and they actually released the numbers for like the Conor McGregor versus Makhachev fight, and he made a ton of money. They made a ton of money. So they showed the numbers, and the UFC makes a ton. So I think it should be happening already anyway, and I think they are getting paid pretty well, but we just don't really hear about it because we usually hear about the guys who are broke. So, Doc.
Yeah, I do think that it'll help. Thankfully, Dana took the UFC to Dubai when I don't think that, or Abu Dhabi, and I don't know how much boxing has had exposure over there, but it should help going to Saudi Arabia. With the Live Golf Tour, a lot of money getting thrown over there. Saudi Arabia wants to be the epicenter of sports. I'm just worried when more money gets involved, more corruption gets involved, and I just don't want to worry. I already worry about the judging in MMA. I think that they can fix the judging if there's open scorecards. That would help, but that's the main thing that I worry about with with bringing more money into the sport.
That's a good angle. I didn't even think about that. And it's funny because the one judge that scored it for Fury was from Canada, so go figure. Since the O Canada card we had and all those horrible judge cards, they're just being too friendly, eh? But no, I thought it was an interesting. We'll call it a shower thought, I guess, that I had, and I want to bring up to the pod. And we'll definitely be watching it. It's just like the thing for me. It's tough that you have to have these guys fight in Abu Dhabi, and it's hard for them to get visas and fly them to other places, and so the other world can experience different fight styles. But that's a topic for another day. Why are you laughing?
Are you thinking of Sean Strickland, who can't go to Saudi Arabia for some reason?
Yeah. I wonder why.
I feel bad for him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting angle. So anything else we want to bring up, boys, before we sign off here into next week? All right. That's going to conclude. That's going to conclude our.
I was just going to say, next card is a numbered card, so you know how excited we get about that. So,
yep, pay-per-view week. Pay-per-view week in 2 weeks. Next week we'll put it on an episode, potentially talking about fights. So look out for that. And just to re-emphasize my message from earlier, tell them when you love them. Tell them when you love them. Life is too short. And that's going to do it from the Ring Boys. Peace.